everyone, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The latest movie in the J.K. Rowling series of, franchise that largely up until now focused around Harry Potter and his crew and all the action going on in Hogwarts. This movie precedes that movie. It's a prequel, and it takes the action to America, and I really, really enjoyed this movie. Now, I will say this movie feels to me like as if it is very much in line with the first couple of Harry Potter movies. I think it's better made. I feel like the first two Harry Potter movies were a little bit too doggedly consistent with the books. Like there's scenes in it that didn't really add that much to the story, other than they were there for fan service for the people who've read the books. And I'm sure if you're a big reader of the series, you're gonna probably disagree that there's anything in that movie that should have been cut. And that movie should have been twice as long, even, or maybe not twice as long, but a little bit longer. But for just the perspective of the movie, there are parts that did not need, like Nearly Headless Nick. I love John Cleese like anybody, but there's parts of him in there that aren't necessary. There's lots in the first two Harry Potter movies that I feel like didn't necessarily add to it. They were interesting scenes, they were fun scenes, but made the movie kind of draw on and on and on to a certain degree. I don't feel that way with this movie. With this movie, I felt like everything was there for a reason. Everything was well done. It was very well made. However, this movie, the scope of it felt very small, and it felt like a very insular storyline, and it felt to me like as if there's hints in this movie of this series, because from what I understand, there are going to be 5 movies or something like that this series is probably going to expand exponentially and become much more like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 is a much more mature and complete story. Well, not complete story, because obviously there's Part 1, but much more like a grandiose story than that of the first movie, where it's just kind of one story being told. Whereas I feel like this series is absolutely going to become much darker and much more adult and much more fascinating and interesting. However, as a start to this series, I think this movie completely works. There was lots of great characters in this movie. By the end, you were really invested in the 4 main protagonists, and some of the creatures you get really invested in. And I'm not going to give the big spoiler of this movie or any of but there's a villain set up that I really, really am interested to see more of and to see where it goes from there. And the cast in this movie is fantastic. I had no idea that Ezra Miller was in this movie, for instance, and he is fantastic. Eddie Redmayne is very, very charming in this, which, he's a very talented actor, but he can be a little bit hit and miss. Like, you have him in Jupiter Ascending, for instance, where he's just chewing the scenery. Well, in this, he is just so charming. Colin Farrell, who's really, really good in it. Samantha Morton, and wasn't even the biggest fan of her character. I felt like her character was fairly one note for me, but I thought her performance as that one note character was very solid. The visuals, the visuals were a bit hit and miss to me. Like, I wish that they weren't so reliant on CG in this movie. Like, I felt like a lot of the creatures would have been a lot more interesting if not a lot, but some, if they weren't entirely CG. Like, I wish there was some practical element that maybe was spruced up by CG, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe that is how they shot it. It just did not feel that way to me. It felt like there were scenes where it was actors interacting with cartoons to a degree, and don't get me wrong, they look great, but it just doesn't feel, it feels like you can feel, it feels like you can feel, no, it feels like you could tell that there's an actor just like, I'm going to kiss this creature, but really he's completely by himself, and it doesn't feel it doesn't feel organic or earned. It feels very put on, and I feel like, man, I'm saying the word "feel" an awful lot here, aren't I? I wish that they had more of a practical effect, considering this movie is really largely about the creatures. That there are, it's called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, because there are a number of creatures, and the creatures are very, very integral to the story. So if I had more of a connection with them, I think that would have made the movie a little bit better. However, obviously you can tell there are things about this movie that I think could have been improved. This is far from a perfect movie, but it also feel like you when you walk out of it again the word feel when you walk out of it you feel happy, you know, like it's a heartwarming story. There's lots of characters that you love, and it's just a good time at the movies. So that's my thought on the movie. So let me know if you've seen the movie, what you thought. If you thought I said the word feel in this way too much, like I feel like I did. Do you feel that way? Please like and subscribe. It means so much to me when I get new subscribers, and it just makes my day. And have yourself a nice day of your own. Woo-hoo.